Hey there, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are currently covering the Florida Maitland PC down here in Orlando. Um, Got a pretty good tournament here today. A lot of people. How many entries did we have? It said about like 30 masters, right?
Yeah, 30 Masters.
Yeah, so we're so happy to be here. We're really looking forward to some really good battles today, and I really think that there's some really good competition specifically here. Above all else, I think we have a lot to look forward to, both in terms of some of the more smaller local people here that we do.
Hmm.
There's a lot of folks down here who we play and go from different PCs going all the way up and down Florida, and there is some big faces here that I'm pretty excited to see.
Definitely. I am definitely really excited to watch some really good rounds of Pokemon and just see who takes the crown for our premier challenge here today.
Yeah, and we don't have a lot of championship points here on the line today, but there's still a lot of things that let us see into the meta and what exactly is currently good, not just on a grand scale, but down here in
Hmm.
the smaller levels of things where we have little rivalries and things that build up, such as well, we don't always talk about examples, but there are many things that different people learn from one another
Right.
down here, and from what people bring, outside of Florida down into the scene. I really look forward to seeing, how both our own little meta develops and how it affects the grander scheme of things. Yeah, what about you?
I'm definitely really excited to see how the people from different parts of Florida and kind of how their own little mini metas sort of like jump into the fray with this Florida PC. And I feel like it's going to be a really great melting pot of really what the Florida VGC scene is like and what Florida VGC players will be taking into regionals that they go to like in state, like with the Orlando regional coming up this spring, and also to out of state. Like, let's say, like the one that's upcoming San Antonio.
Yeah, I'll be going to San Antonio, and we've seen a lot of development, especially in Regulation E. We got our first pairings coming up actually. So we have Zachary Leakweg and Adrian Connor currently coming up. I'm seeing some Rillaboom action on both teams. I love to see the giraffe, and we actually have a Landorus Incarnate in this matchup, which I think is pretty exciting. From what I've heard a little bit, we're seeing a good bit of Landorus Incarnate here today, which is a very strange thing, but Sheer Force is a powerful ability that definitely gets people going. So we also see Golden Go and Milotic. I've talked to Adrian some about his Milotic team, and he is very proud of it. Yeah, I definitely like to see what he plans to do with it. I know he dropped it for a little while, but I think Milotic's a great pick.
I definitely think, especially now that it's got reintroduced into the meta with the release of Teal Mask, having that ability to do moves such as like Hypnosis and also Scald, I feel like that it can really kind of change like how the battle can go while also providing just like a tiny bit of speed control and
It's a great mon. It sets up a lot of good things, and it really does punish a lot of things
right.
whenever,
Exactly.
especially passive play. And then Zachary over here, I believe he's the one that is bringing in the Landorus Incarnate. And like I said, Sheer Force is an ability that is nothing to sneeze at, beyond the shadow of a doubt.
Hmm.
It's really good. It hits like a truck, and it's going to add a lot of power to this Landorus compared to what we're used to with the Therian form, which usually seems to prioritize speed and getting those flinches usually, or just switching out for intimidates. Then we also see a little bit of Farigiraf action, which I wanted to bring up as well. I just think the anti-priority is such a powerful thing, especially in this meta with things like, we can't see exactly what he has on that Hisuian Arcanine right there, but it typically uses a lot of priority, not to mention Rillaboom, not to mention Urshifu, as I do believe we see entirely Rapid Strike Urshifus, which means a lot of them are going to be running Aqua Jet, so that
Right.
anti-priority is going to be invaluable.
Yeah, and I feel like that both players having Intimidate users on their teams, I feel like it's going to be really cool to see kind of like if they're going to be keeping those Intimidate users on the field or if they're going to be switching them out to sort of get multiple Intimidates out.
Well, yeah, and that's pretty par for the course for the most part. But what I'm more interested to see is the Hisuian Arcanine versus the Landorus.
Yeah.
Right now we're seeing that left and right in this meta. Everyone pretty much expected Landorus to just wipe Hisuian Arcanine off the board, and regional results have definitely proved the otherwise. Hisuian Arcanine is probably here to stay.
I think
Alrighty.
now we're going to be getting into game one of our first round.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, currently we are looking at Tornadus and Golden Go over on Zachary's side, and Milotic and Farigiraf over on Adrian's side. I think this is a great lead from both sides here. Obviously, Tornadus is set up into so many different things, not to mention the Tailwind and just everything that it brings into a general team. There's a reason that it is one of the highest usage Pokemon,
Right.
period. Golden Go, on the other hand, is something that I typically see more in the late game, if I'm being honest. It's a really good late game sweeper. You cannot at all sneeze at Make It Rain. It is such a good move. And if you just use a bit of Life Orb or Choice Specs on Golden Go, you're getting that damage on the field, and it does a lot. Not to mention, he's pretty invaluable into the Milotic matchup here. Now, with that Heatran coming out, that is going
that
to be
Heatran.
not great for the Golden Go. Let's see what this Terra is. I'm predicting a Terra Water on the Golden Go, if I'm being honest. And if that's the
think
case, then it
it's
covers
actually
the
a
Heatran.
steal.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
Oh,
that's going to be interesting for the Heatran.
Definitely.
The Heatran can put a lot of damage out on that right now.
Yeah,
The
especially-
Milotic ain't doing much, but what do you expect? Tornadus comes out with the Bleak Wind Storm, getting a bit of chip damage in, no speed drops coming off, but Golden Go immediately follows up with the Make It Rain. And we're going to see, yet again, not a ton of damage come out on the field, and the special attack drop is pretty par for the course, not to mention a Scald coming in. Golden Go is definitely getting a little bit melted there, likely to break a Sash is what I'm predicting there. Okay, excellent. So we also have leftovers over on the Milotic. Alrighty, so we are looking at a pretty interesting game for the rest of the way here. We know that Adrian has Farigiraf in the back now, and that could come out at any time and put the end to priority pretty much at any moment if you're not careful, because switches always precede priority. With that, we are going to really see Zachary have to play some mind games here with Adrian as to if he's going to bring it out. The Golden Go and the Tornadus aren't really threatening a lot of priority here at the moment. And
but that Rain Dance.
the Rain Dance is going to put a dampering on Heatran,
Right.
but I still think that it is incredibly dangerous for the Golden Go to stay in the
Right.
field. We are seeing Terra Steel Make It Rain, and again, that is some pretty significant damage that we see come out. But let's see what it really does. It's bouncing off the Heatran, unfortunately, which is chip damage is chip damage though, and it can really start to add up. Oh, we had a Heat Wave
that
miss.
Heat Wave.
And the Golden Go, yeah, he's able to keep on standing, but he is. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so the Tornadus is still, he's just sticking on the field. He hasn't taken any even of the Heat Wave damage, which again wouldn't be much from the Rain Dance, but I've come to find that Tornadus really does survive well with a good bulky set.
Right.
It gets really hard to take off the field. It also has a lot of offensive power too, in my opinion, as I'm one to do. But
You're definitely a firm believer in Terra Flying Sharpeak Tornadus.
yeah, I think it's pretty funny. But I also see the power in why everyone uses what I think is probably the better Tornadus
Exactly.
set. Bulky Torn, which, as you can see, is really putting in work here. He's done most of the damage for Zachary's side. It's been chip damage, but it's really adding up fast.
And that Milotic still hangs on, which is a
Just
little
barely.
bit, and still only. Oh, but that Icy Wind does come out.
Out and drop both of their speeds. So yeah, we're gonna see Tornadus might not be outspeeding the Milotic anymore, is what I'm predicting here.
Oh, there was no speed drop on the Tornadus.
And Golden Go is gone. Gone didn't go. And so now Zachary's used up his Terra. Adrian still is holding on to his Terra, and he currently has the 4-mon lead. He doesn't have any of his drop right now. So Adrian's definitely here in the leading position after those openers.
Oh, but that Landorus Incarnate is going to come out on Zachary's side.
I'm honestly so excited to see
Me
this.
too. I'm very excited.
It definitely is a huge threat to the Heatran. I do think that it could not go great with that Milotic.
Especially not with that Heatran either.
Yeah, it could go either way right now. But honestly, the Heatran I don't think is anywhere near as much of a threat with the rain on the field at the moment. You could see some Earth power, but Heatran is not in a good position here. He's threatened by Tornadus. There's Rain Dance hampering his offensive ability, even if he does seem to outspeed stuff. Landorus came in without the speed drop, so he doesn't have to worry about that now. We are seeing a lot of Bleak Wind Storms come out of this Tornadus, but I'm not super sure we're going to see it stick on the field much longer. I'm welcome to be proven wrong, though.
Yeah, and we did see that on our side that the Landorus Incarnate is carrying the Life Orb item, so it'll probably be able to dish out some even more damage with that Sandsear Storm, I think it's what it's called.
Life Orb and sheer force is no joke. It does a lot of damage. I've used that kind of combination of Braviary I've seen before, which has been pretty interesting. We're going to see a Terra Fairy come out of the Heatran, and Milotic's going to protect. So Heatran's not as threatened here, and I think that's a pretty big deal for Adrian.
Right. And that Tornadus goes for the Bleak Wind Storm, and it misses on the Milotic with that Protect, but it goes into the Heatran, doing a little bit more than chip damage this
It's
time.
adding up, though.
It is.
And now we're seeing Sandsear Storm. Now, I believe that is pretty exciting to see. You don't get to see that every day. Wow, but Heatran just survives. That's a huge deal.
Over that.
Wow, we're going to see a Terra Fairy, Terra Blast come out. And so finally, he's really going to be able to kind of get his damage back from what the Rain Dance stole for. And
that
a
was
crit!
crit.
I do believe that probably mattered with the count there. Tornadus is, like I said, a pretty bulky boy earlier. The fact that that took him out and it wasn't even super effective is a pretty huge deal. Adrian's definitely coming out pretty strong here in the first game.
I wonder if that Heatran is Life Orb.
I'm not super sure. I believe it probably is. Most Heatrans are Life Orb
Okay.
nowadays. We're going to see Arcanine come out, and that's going to proc Milotic's competitive, and that is a pretty big deal for Adrian, adding just even more into the power that he already has. Arcanine's weakened a little bit here by the rain, but ultimately we have Rock Slide, which is such a great move when Arcanine's as fast as he is, and both Mons on the other side of the field are low, to say the least.
That could potentially be bad. I don't know if the Milotic outspeeds either the Landorus or the Hisuian Arcanine on Zachary's side, but if that Milotic is able to get a Scald off, that could definitely be bad for either one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Scald. It's honestly, no matter what really Zachary wants to throw out here, it really could be a wrench in the plan for Magi. But he is going to go for, or Adrian, my apologies, I know I'm outside of this. Adrian's going to switch back into his Farigiraf, so he's going to take away his priority. We're going to see Sandsear Storm come out, and that does a significant amount of damage to Farigiraf, also going ahead and knocking out Adrian's Milotic. Now we get to see what Arcanine's going to go for, and that Rock Slide is not lethal, but it certainly does a lot of damage here.
That Landorus Incarnate is definitely scary.
Yes, I am very impressed seeing it come out with this amount of power. The amount of damage it's putting on the field right now is very impressive, in my opinion. Now we're currently waiting to see what Adrian follows up with. I mean, we know he has a Heatran in the back. Maybe isn't the best play right now with Landorus. Well, no, I guess Heatran's Terra Fairy, though. So in that regard, we're going to see...
Oh, we're going to see the Rillaboom.
Awesome, awesome. Good to hear. So Magi definitely, or Adrian definitely has his priority straight. And no pun intended. He, despite the damage to Farigiraf, unfortunately, Zachary can't really chance an extreme speed here. So he's probably... he has a couple options. He could go to outspeed the Rillaboom. No, not the Rillaboom, the Farigiraf, which is probably going to happen beyond the shadow of a doubt. Most Farigirafs are built to be pretty slow, and while Adrian's team doesn't seem to be a slow team in general, I still don't see Farigiraf, even with some investment, outspeeding anything that Zachary has. And I don't believe either of the Landorus or the Arcanine have taken a speed drop, correct?
Correct. I don't think so either.
So yeah, we haven't seen any Icy Winds hit them from the Milotic. We are going to see a fake outcome, though, which is going to really be costly. The Sandsear Storm is going to come in, though, and take Farigiraf out. So now we're going to kind of see what Adrian follows up with, which I guess has to be his Heatran at this point, and Heatran's going to have to take the game. As well as the rain stopping here, which means that Arcanine gets his power back in his Flare Blitzes, which with Rillaboom and Heatran on the field right now is going to be, well, I suppose only half useful. I forget that Heatran does have Flash Fire sometimes.
But that Heatran is at very low HP.
Yeah, it's going to take almost nothing to kill it. That being said, Zachary also does get his priority back with the Farigiraf gone, and that could be a pretty big deal in this wrapping up of this game.
Right, I think it definitely is Zachary's game. He just was able to dish so much damage out with that Landorus.
Yeah, that blew me away beyond the shadow of a doubt, and he really, despite Adrian coming out here very, very strong right in the beginning of the game, I'd say the whole first half of Adrian's game, Zachary really thought well about what he was going to do, how he was going to put, a lot of the chip damage that he got in the early game to use in, finishing things off. I really think that's especially going to be valuable right about here with Heatran being as low as he is.
Right, exactly. Even though that Rillaboom does protect, Heatran definitely is going out now with that Earth Power. So
And now it's up to Rillaboom to try to solo this out. And, you know, I do think he has some damage options here, but I am not seeing a way in which Rillaboom's really able to get stuff out without perhaps a good bit of luck here. I believe Sandsear Storm does have, it can miss, correct, if I'm not mistaken?
Right.
So, yeah, it has that 15% drop or so, if my math is right. Arcanine, on the other hand, isn't really going to be missing much unless he's throwing out Rock Slides. So it's all matters on if the Sandsears miss and if Arcanine is able to dish out the damage. Now, Rillaboom definitely pipes back with a good bit of damage here. Ooh, Sludge Bomb. That's going to be lethal for the Rillaboom, and that's going to be game.
Yeah, but I do think that Adrian was able to get some pretty valuable information from this game. Maybe he could have led with Rillaboom, and that could have turned the tide with it for him a little bit, but I do think that Milotic was in a really good position at the start of the game.
Yeah, perhaps. But honestly, you cannot be mad at Zachary. That was such an impressive game with how strong Adrian came out there in the beginning. Zachary definitely lived up to it and, you know, met him with another punch right back.
Exactly. That Landorus Incarnate is no joke.
Not one bit. So yeah, now we're seeing the two contestants, you know, we're just chilling for the time being. I could definitely see that game would take a lot out of me personally. I don't do good at those longer games, but I guess it wasn't too long. They got through pretty quick, and they were both pretty, there was a lot of really good decisions there. It was a very hype game to watch.
Yes, it definitely was. And I'm pretty excited to see what Game 2 really brings.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what the two players are thinking about at the moment. They have a lot to think about beyond the shadow of a doubt. There's a lot of really relevant meta things here that both teams have that counter other meta things. And I find that to be, you know, some of the best games. Like, you know, they counter each other well, and that's what I find very fascinating. They have options into each other. So it's all about really calling, you know, what the lead's going to be and what is going to be, you know, it's about what's in the back as well. Like, you know, obviously, of course, it's going to be about what's in the back and what you're leading, but it's what the opponent does. And it's this is where the big chance part of Pokemon comes into play, where it's not just, even if you have really good moves that, you know, only hit a certain amount of time, you can choose to, you know, bypass those, you know, pick the moves that are very reliable, but you're still not getting away from the chance aspect of Pokemon. There's things you got to look out for that really can bite you in the butt, especially in terms of leads and in terms of, you know, what people are bringing. You got to be thinking about that. There's a lot of mind games and a bit of chance in there. You cannot get away from that. And I think both Adrian and Zachary are really needing to think about what's happening here.
Right, and we could even see like a difference in leads, or maybe Zachary might even bring that Urshifu, which could be a really great counter to that Heatran, as long as it doesn't Terra.
I definitely think we're going to see some different leads here.
Definitely.
I don't think we're going to see Golden go up front is what I'm going to call, but I'm not wholly sure. I think that no matter what, Tornadus is pretty likely here on Zachary's side anyways. And then over on Adrian's side, it wouldn't surprise me if we see Farigiraf immediately. I think Farigiraf has so much immediate potential, but it works great in the back as well. If you having the threat of, I can throw this in at any time and just take it, is so powerful. So now we're going into Game 2. We already have our leads.
With the same exact leads.
Yeah, so I'm pretty surprised to see that. But, I mean, honestly, not terribly mad. It's pretty interesting to see how this is going to play out. I mean, you have Heatran and Milotic. That's two of the best special attacking, you know, type coverage you can get out there, and covers for a lot of what Zachary has. So I don't blame Adrian at all for bringing it. As for Zachary, Tornadus, again, you can't get mad at that. He shuts down Heatran, but by doing that with the rain is going to then make Milotic much, much stronger.
Right.
We're going to see a crit come out with that Thunderbolt, doing a good bit more damage than probably would have done otherwise. We see an Icy Wind follow onto the Golden Go and the Tornadus, and the Golden Go is not attacked yet. So it looks like has the Golden Go not attacked yet?
Yes, it did Thunderbolt into the Heatran.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's what they did. Okay, my bad.
No, you're fine. So,
okay. So when it comes to what to think about now, Heatran still can be really offensively threatening. You could still, of course, have either of Zachary only has one Genie in the back if he has a Genie in the back, and you know, Earth Power is not going to be really useful here, and Heat Wave is not going to be useful here. So if Heatran wants to be really offensively useful, it's going to really need to think about whether it's going to switch or it's going to Terra, and that can be a really rough decision to make. And that's why I think Rain Dance is such a good move, or Rain Dance or any Drizzle ability. You know, it's the reason Pelipper is good, or is good sometimes. Is Rain really make people have to think about their fire types. And with how many good fire types we see nowadays, Chi-Yu, Heatran, Arcanine, line.
Ogerpon, Heart
Yeah.
Flame.
Yeah, we see so much of it, so it can be really, really scary.
Oh, and
We do see Golden go down, and that is pretty huge for Adrian, I think. We're not going to see anywhere near as much of that, make it rain damage that we saw in the beginning of last game. And Tornadus takes a flash cannon. It still stays up, but yeah, and Milotic is going to proc the leftovers, getting that little bit of HP back. And we're going to see Landorus Incarnate come in.
I do feel like that flash cannon was a really good idea because it is a pretty simple way just to dish out damage. And also, if you were to go for a heat wave, it would be a lot more, the damage would be significantly minimized by the rain.
Yeah, only thing to look out for with that flash cannon would be Landorus in the back, which he did end up bringing, but he put it into the right slot, and that's what's important. So now we're looking at all 4 Mons, I believe, have taken a bit of damage. Tornadus is especially in a rough spot. We're going to see Heatran finally come off the field, and what is coming in instead? I believe that is the Farigiraf, correct? Yes. So any of the priority is going to be gone, but I don't believe Landorus and Tornadus were rocking too much priority. Yeah, we're going to see a Bleak Wind Storm come out, and that's going to just go into the Farigiraf. And that does about a third of its health, which is a good bit of damage for a Bleak Wind Storm. And now we're going to see Sandsteer follow immediately after. I got to say, I'm loving the strategy that Zachary's bringing today. I really am fond of the Genies, and that does a significantly more amount of damage.
Oh, definitely.
That is very impressive. Wow.
That Life Orb.
Landorus Incarnate does not seem to be any joke. He's putting a lot of damage on the field. Like both games that he's come to so far have been huge for him.
The usage of spread moves, I feel like, is also really good in this situation because we have seen that Adrian will normally protect one Pokemon and attack with the other or switch with another. So maybe Zachary would have been able to see that and kind of been like, oh, well, if I can't hit one of them, I'll still hit the other.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really, no matter what Adrian does when it comes to protects, Zachary knows he's getting damage on the board. And that really seems to be pretty much his mentality here with this game is just get damage on the board as quick as possible and as much of it as possible.
And now we're going to see that Rillaboom come out into the field and procting its Grassy Surge.
Yep, so, fun little interaction here is that, Tornadus and Landorus actually really won't be able to benefit from it due to being flying types. But Rillaboom and Milotic will be able to, enjoy that recovery. If Milotic can survive on top of the leftovers recovery, it can be really, really handy to get that Milotic back up and really be useful for the long term and finishing out this game.
Right, and I am not entirely sure if Adrian has used his Terra.
He has not yet.
Because he could probably... I could see him going for a Terra on the Rillaboom if it's something defensive like a fire.
Yeah, I could see that myself. There's definitely a couple ways Adrian can slice it here. No matter what, this is an absolutely awesome game too. Landorus goes for the Protect, so we're not going to see any more Sand Shear up on the field. Rillaboom also is going to go into the Protect just to see what exactly is happening on the other side. Tornadus is going to follow up with a Bleak Wind Storm. Rillaboom's not going to take that, and that's a pretty big deal, I think. And it also lets Adrian kind of see, what exactly is on Zachary's mind. What's he going to be doing?
Exactly.
Both opponents are also matched in terms of Mons at the moment. I believe they both lost one. So, we really are in an even spot. Now, Tornadus does take that Icy Wind. I don't know who that crit hit on. I suppose it was on Tornadus.
Right.
And Tornadus is going to go down. And honestly, it was a pretty big deal for Landorus to protect there as well.
Right.
That even an Icy Wind can be very, very threatening to something like Landorus, which has a 4 times weakness to it.
Exactly. I feel like that if Milotic had gone for Scald, it would have been almost game over for the Landorus Incarnate.
Big time. Now, we are going to see the Milotic get its competitive proc, but Rillaboom is going to take that attack drop. And into the matchup with Landorus, I feel like that could be a little bit rough here. Now, Arcanine's also weakened by the rain. Just as last game, we're in a very similar ending position. We don't have... Actually, do we? I'm not fully sure. We might have Heatran in the back there over on Adrian's side.
Yes.
But ultimately, that's going to kind of be the thing that we need to, what's the word? You need to pay attention to when it comes to the Heatran in the back and when that's coming in. And Adrian needs to keep that in mind. With Landorus still on the field and still putting out lots and lots of damage. But it's still being threatened by, both things that are on the field over on Adrian's side. So it's hard for me to call whose game this is right now because I really do think it's close.
Right.
Both players are playing excellently right now.
Because Heatran can definitely clean up a game all by himself. I've been able to do that. Many people have been able to do that. It is a bulky Mon, that if you give it an offensive item, it can be no joke.
Absolutely. We're going to see the Milotic protect once again. Honestly, I think this is a really good call. We're getting twice the amount of recovery over here. And Landorus is going to Sand Sheer Storm. That's going to be pretty dang powerful. Okay, so it takes out about a quarter of the Rillaboom's health, even not being super effective. And we're going to see a Terra Blast come into the Arcanine. So Zachary was able to for sure call the protect there. Or did I say into the Arcanine? Out of the Arcanine and into the Rillaboom, my apologies.
And that Rillaboom is going to go for the Wood Hammer.
That does a significant amount of damage,
Yes.
but that also means that Intimidate really mattered there. Had Rillaboom not been intimidated, Arcanine would be gone right now. And this would
Definitely.
be a whole different scenario. But with Arcanine still being on the field and still being as fast as it is, Adrian's definitely going to need to take that into consideration this next turn.
Right. Exactly. It's really hard to...
This
like,
Zachary, I also didn't want to lose the fact that Zachary has also lost Tailwind, so the speed's going to be a lot more even here. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, it's just, like, it's so hard to figure out, like, whose game this is because both players are, like, playing so well.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, because I feel like Zachary could clutch this out.
I definitely think I think it is starting to lean more to Zachary's side. He has the priority. He doesn't have Farigiraf to worry about. He doesn't really need to worry about not having that tailwind speed anymore. I definitely think he's in a position to clean up this game.
Right, but there's also the Heatran on Adrian's side that could potentially do something.
Adrian does indeed have the Mon lead. Looks like Arcanine's going to outspeed the Rillaboom, even with the potential priority on both sides. And we just have Milotic standing. We're going to see her take an Earth Power, and that is going to clean her up as well. So we're going to see ultimately how this game wraps up, but it's definitely falling more into Zachary's favor.
Yeah, definitely. With both Landorus Incarnate and Hisuian Arcanine, I think outspeeding Heatran, it's probably going to be Zachary's game.
We're going to see Heatran come out onto the field once again. Now, I don't believe Adrian's used his Terra, which is something to keep, to keep in mind. It's something that ultimately could wrap this up for him, just on the other side. But I still think he's going to be taking so much damage that it's not going to be good.
Right, I feel like that even with the Terra Fairy, that Heatran might not be able to hold on.
Mm-hmm. We're going to see ultimately, how Zachary's wanting to make sure that this game is clean cut. If he doesn't make the right move here, Adrian could absolutely take it back. And, this is where Pokemon gets exciting. Folks. I really like to see, yeah, you think it's one guy's game, but you really got to watch it to the very last second to know for sure. Misses and crits are a wonderful thing.
And Heatran is going to go for that Terra Fairy. And we're going to see if it's able to clutch this out for Adrian.
Going to see an Earth Power come into the Heatran, and that does a good bit of damage, but it doesn't kill him off. And Arcanine's going to Rock Slide, and ultimately that takes down Heatran. Alrighty, so yeah, this is Zachary's game, and ultimately he takes this round. Congratulations to Zachary.
And that was definitely a really great round one for both players.
Yeah, big time. I was really excited to see, I really found Zachary's strategy with the, just throwing out massive amounts of spread moves to be really, really interesting. Adrian definitely had some great options that he could, fall back on if he was, able to play his cards right. But just the amount of damage that Zachary was throwing out there was just overwhelming. It's hard to adapt to something like that and to, be able to keep on, taking that and,
right.
Keeping your Mons on the field all at the same time. And, ultimately that's what cost Farigiraf, her life, I suppose. And, what I think really could have been the thing to change up the game there would have been Farigiraf and keeping that alive.
Right. I wonder if even going for a Trick Room would have changed the game a little bit.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, was Farigiraf running Trick Room? I don't believe if we knew about that or not.
I don't know if we knew.
Well, I mean, yeah, but again, I don't think it would have too much. Both Adrian and Zachary's team were both very, very fast. We had the priority Tailwind over on Zachary's side, and, Adrian's going to have a hard time matching that no matter what. So maybe if he did have a slower mode, for once it probably would have, not for once, but it would have come in more in handy for him, I suppose.
Right. And I feel like that because both of them were going for those faster modes, I feel like having the Icy Wind on the Milotic was able to help slow down the battle a little bit and maybe getting a leg up on Adrian's side. But if he had gone for the Trick Room mode, that kind of would have blown up in his face.
Yeah, the Icy Wind mode, or not the Icy Wind mode, but the Icy Wind coming out there from the Milotic was really good speed control over on Adrian's part, but he'd have to do it just a bit more, I think, in order to really slow them down. I think perhaps maybe a better strategy would have been to go for the Scald in the rain. Scald boosted by the rain into into Landorus would have been very, very lethal very, very quickly, but it was making sure that Milotic was able to survive all those things that was being thrown at it, because again, Zachary was not playing around with all that damage.
Right, exactly. And is Scald 100% accurate in the rain, or is it not?
I don't actually. I think Scald's 100% accurate usually. I
Okay.
could be wrong. I don't know. I have I'm still. I have not played a lot with Scald mons per se. I don't like
Right.
to counter physical attackers too much. But yeah, I mean Scald, just the fact that it's boosted by the rain, though, just the damage of it,
Exactly.
and just Landorus already doesn't like taking a Scald. It really wouldn't have been great. I'm not really talking about the burn chance, but I'm talking about just the damage that Scald could have done.
Right.
Really could have been valuable there, especially boosted by the rain. That's my take, anyways, and I could be wrong there. I don't know all the calcs, but that's more of like how I would have thought about that. What about you?
I feel like that if I was in Adrian's shoes, I probably would have, probably for game one, I probably would have tried Trick Room just to see. And I feel like that I feel like that with like the differing speeds, I feel like that going for a slower mode, maybe with like I mean, I don't know how fast Milotic was, but maybe going for a Farigiraf and a Milotic, or a Farigiraf and Heatran lead, kind of trying to be able to dish out damage in that slower mode. And then when the Trick Room ended, maybe going for like an Icy Wind.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. And, any slower mode is always going to be really good into Tailwind stuff and using that Trick Room against them.
Right. Especially with a Prankster Tailwind user such as Tornadus.
Absolutely. But it was really exciting to see. I really enjoy it. I love Milotic as a Pokemon. It's such a fascinating mon. I think she's, really, she's one of my favorite designed Pokemon. She, hits like a truck, especially, I'm a big fan of the coil strategy with Hypnosis. And just Milotic is just in general awesome. I really love, every time I see Milotic come onto the field, it makes me really happy. I get really excited.
Yes, she is an absolute pain to play against, but she's so fun to play.
Yeah, that's definitely how it can be sometimes. But what mon isn't like that? I mean, I think I'd rather still play a Milotic over a Mungus, though.
Definitely.
But yeah, so we are currently waiting on our round 2 matchings. One moment. What does that say?
Oh, you can throw to break.
Oh. Okay. Well, yeah. So cool. Yeah, we're gonna win on our round 2, and then we're gonna go ahead to break. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.